For those of you that love learning about animals, from Sci News, new neo-ornithischian dinosaur unearthed in Thailand. Minomacursor funoiensis is the earliest known neo-ornithischian dinosaur from Southeast Asia, as well as one of the best preserved dinosaurs ever found in the region. From prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. Welcome to Creature Guide Live Prehistoric News. Now, let's dive back into the prehistoric news of the day. So, who do we have here? Well, this is a very peculiar type of small Neornithischian dinosaur. They're not often talked about, at least in somewhere like Thailand, they're not talked about almost at all, which is quite surprising considering there have been at least four different species of Ornithischian, or at least you could say hadrosaurs. So, a group of the Ornithischian dinosaurs that have been discovered in this country. Minimacursor funoiensis roamed our planet during the Upper Jurassic epoch, approximately 145 million years ago. Okay, so we are talking about one of the earlier species of um, Neornithischians. So the animals that I'm talking about didn't evolve until somewhere around 94 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. There were still hadrosaurs over in Thailand, but in this case, these animals are a bit often more talked about, but usually over in North America or occasionally Europe. But still, even when it comes to the late Jurassic, I would say even animals such as Dryosaurus aren't often talked about. So, which Dryosaurus was a species of Neornithischian that existed in Colorado around 150 million years ago. It was about 7 to 9 feet in length. It might have weighed around somewhere between 200 to 250 pounds, or a little over 100 kilograms. I guess you could say 2.5 meters for the length. The ancient beast is a member of Neornithischia, a diverse group of dinosaurs that includes ornithopod and marginocephalian dinosaurs, as well as many earlier forms. So the marginocephalians would later evolve into different species of, well, actually, at this point, there are already different species of ceratopsian that had evolved during the Jurassic. And the ceratopsians are the group of dinosaurs that would later evolve into animals such as Triceratops and Styracosaurus, so the horned dinosaurs. And they would also evolve into the dome headed Pachycephalosaurs. But at least by somewhere between 150 and 160 million years ago is when the first ceratopsians evolved. So they were around much longer than the last 2 to 12 million years of the Mesozoic era when the dinosaurs were existing that some people are familiar with. I'd say most only believe they're around for about 2 million years if they're familiar with Triceratops. Neornithischia is a clade of herbivorous dinosaurs, including ornithopods, marginocephalians, and a diversity of small bipedal basal forms that were historically referred to as hycephalodontids. Oh, yeah, it's true. There have been a lot of name changes with these different families when it comes to the marginocephalians and hycephalodontids. The hycephalodontids, it's also a bit of a debate with certain animals or certain members of this group whether or not they were mostly carnivorous or herbivorous, but it's been more agreed upon with certain researchers that they would have been mostly herbivorous. Now, when it comes to the pachycephalosaurs, depending on the species, some were carnivorous. Now, this is a later descendant of larger relatives of Minomacursor as well as Dryosaurus over in North America. So, more specifically, I'm talking about animals such as the larger Camptosaurus that existed in Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, around 150 million years ago in the Jurassic. So, around the same time as the Minomacursor in Thailand. But this is Augustinolophus, which is a relative of Parasaurolophus as well as Saurolophus back in the Cretaceous period. Though this animal existed over in Alabama around 85 million years ago. So it made its sweet home in this region in probably different types of wetlands as well as maybe fern areas, and probably fed on different species of flowers at this point, considering flowers were already dominating the landscape by the early Cretaceous period. So this individual was somewhere around 30 feet in length, reached about 9 meters, and could weigh probably somewhere between 3 to 4 tons. And so it was probably feeding on at least I'd say around 2 to 300 pounds of food each day. Not many carnivores, though, have been found in that region. In fact, dinosaurs are not too common within Alabama, but they do exist within certain sediments. Depending on where you are in Alabama, you can come across different species of Ice Age mammals or Pleistocene, mastodons, possibly even ground sloths. Now, this is either an Augustinolophus or possibly a Saurolophus skull. And if it is a Saurolophus skull, this animal was much larger. I mean, there are at least two different species of Saurolophus. This animal hailed from Mongolia somewhere between 70 to 75 million years ago and could reach over 42 feet in length or pushing 13 meters and probably weighs somewhere around 8 tons and was most likely feeding on different species of ferns. Now, this animal lived much earlier in the Cretaceous period. So, this is a member of the iguanodontid lineage of dinosaurs, which would later evolve into the hadrosaurs. But this is a close relative of iguanodon and possibly coexisted with iguanodon. But this is Mantellosaurus. And Mantellosaurus reached somewhere around 20 feet in length or around 6 meters, and probably reached close to 2,000 pounds or around a little over 900 kilograms or a ton, and probably fed on different species of low lying conifers as well as ferns, some of the earliest flowers to evolve. But Mantellosaurus is actually quite common within Europe. It hasn't just been found in England, which is where it's usually referred to, as well as Belgium, Germany, and I believe it's also been found in possibly the Netherlands. So it was dominating Europe. So it's quite surprising. This is one of those species where there's quite a bit of evidence to suggest it was a very successful species. So here's the animal with all the skin added on. It's interesting because iguanodontids, when you look at their forelimbs, this species has a very slender sort of physique, or at least when it comes to its forelimbs. The iguanodontids, especially when you look at iguanodon, they're extremely stocky. Now, I think they're a little more leaner in more recent reconstructions with iguanodon, but not so much with Mantellosaurus, which is very interesting. And here's also another historically accurate depiction of the Mantellosaurus. Now, it is very possible that these animals could walk on two legs and then occasionally just switch back to all fours. Maybe when running, they would have walked on two legs. But this is very good. This is very good drawing. Okay, so where were we? So the classification of basal neornithischians was presented and debated by many paleontologists. Oh, there's consistently debates of the different mutations and just the different changes in evolution when it comes to different members of this large group. And they are also not too distantly related to the plated stegosaurs. In Asia, the earliest Neornithischian is Sanxiosaurus modayensis from the Middle Jurassic Hingxiangchu Formation of China. Other species have been described from the Middle to Late Jurassic of Sichuan, China: Agilosaurus lauderbacchi, Hexinlusaurus multidens, and Xiaosaurus dachshundensis from the Lower Saxiamao Formation, as well as Yandusaurus hagiensis from the Upper Xiaosmao Formation. Uh, Okay, so basal neornithischians from Asia also include Calindrodromeus zabacalicus from Siberia, which bore feather-like structures. It's also possible that this last ornithopod, Calindrodromeus, they mentioned a lot of species in this article. This is abnormal. Actually, I think it's happened last two. Anyway, the thing is, it's very possible that this individual might have burrowed like its relative Orodromeus, which has been preserved in a burrow-like setting, so similar to modern-day prairie dogs. So it's very possible that Calindrodromeus would have been a burrower as well. I'm not so sure with this Monaimo cursor ornithopod. It doesn't look like there's any evidence to support that they might have burrowed, but certainly possible. 5 centimeters, so somewhere around 2 inches. That's a very, I mean, forgot to mention, it's a very well preserved skeleton. Wow, that's interesting. Just like a thigh bone over here. Maybe it's a shin bone. Seems closer in length. Long ankle bone too. Wow. So is this just one individual? Couldn't tell if it was two. The exceptional articulated skeleton of Meinemacursor funoiensis was found at the Phu Noi locality at the lower part of the Phu Kradung Formation, Kalasin Province, Thailand. This dinosaur is the earliest Neornithischian species from Southeast Asia and is one of the best preserved dinosaurs ever found in the region. The Phu Noi locality contains a wealth of specimens and has yielded an exceptionally articulated skeleton, which represents one of the best preserved dinosaurs ever found in Southeast Asia. Yeah, this is good to see, especially also coming in from Thailand. Neornithischians are like the hadrosaurs, never talked about. This is, I think I already mentioned that. Meinemacursor funoiensis also shows a combination of characters resembling those of late Jurassic to early Cretaceous small bodied ornithischian dinosaurs from China. The discovery of this dinosaur provides new information about the biodiversity, biogeography, and early evolutionary history of Neornithischians during the late Jurassic, early Cretaceous time interval. Many of the remaining bones are still under preparation, including another skull. These unpublished specimens may provide a better understanding of the biology of Meinemacursor funoiensis in the future. Um, yeah, I would think there's a lot that we could obtain from that distinct skeleton. Also, where it was, we don't have a lot of info on specifically the sediment or I think almost anything from where it was found, just due to the types of soils coming from the different members of, or whatever member of the formation this was found in, could tell us a lot. Um, Mainly also due to what it might have been eating. Now, another species of ornithischian dinosaur is Eotrachodon. So this is also another species of hadrosaur that lived towards the end of the Cretaceous period. This was a medium-sized hadrosaur, so somewhere around 30 feet in length, around 9 meters, and probably weighed somewhere around 4 tons. And um, it existed over in trying to get it back to my mind. It's not hitting me at the moment. I believe it was over in North America, probably over in Montana. In fact, I think it was adjacent to the Hell Creek Formation, which is also where Tyrannosaurus Rex has been discovered. But it's very possible Eotrachodon might have gone extinct before T Rex evolved, considering T Rex doesn't show up until the last 2 million years. So, this individual might have dealt with earlier species of Tyrannosaur, possibly even T Rex's ancestor, which came from Asia, it looks like about 70 million years ago. So, around the same time that this animal evolved. It is interesting that this illustration right here shows feathers, considering there's not really any evidence for any species of hadrosaur to have had feathers, not even the young. And most reconstructions, they tend to be shown without feathers. So this is quite unique, I'll say, but it's unlikely if you're talking about accuracy, but still a very well done picture. And I also like how there's that pointed downwards beak, which hadrosaurs used to be shown with a horizontal face forwarding beak, and that would not have been the case. And here, there might have been a series of passageways in which sound would travel out in a very low frequency sound. So, from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share the show with everyone you know, because nothing is better than all animals all the time.